I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch of games, but right now I'm just thinking of big games coming out this next year, 2024, that I care about, and I'm like, Death Stranding 2? I guess if Black Myth Wukong comes out, I'll be pretty happy about that. I honestly can't think of a whole lot else. Like, granted, I'm sure there's tons of things that haven't been announced yet, and I think if Grand Theft Auto 6 is smart, because I hear they're announcing in December, they will say the release date's in like April. That I think would blow up the world. If it looks great and they say, yeah, it's coming out in a few months, they would sell more pre-orders than Jesus would if he said, yeah, I'm coming back from heaven soon. Everyone grab tickets. I'll be at the Greek. You know? I mean, like, that would sell out really fast. There'd be a lot, like, if there was a way that you could confirm it was legit, every Christian in the world would be on the phone trying to get tickets to that. Especially because, you know, they'd be a deal, right? Like, he's Jesus. He's not charging $5,000 a head. Okay, they'll probably be like $1 each. It'll be like, yeah, the Lord demands that we obey the fire code, but yeah, first 20,000 or whatever, whatever the biggest theater you can get holds. It would be a pretty big deal, is what I'm saying. I think I have enough context for Game of the Year to just recuse myself from any arguments involving Alan Wake or what else did I not play? A Jedi Survivor. Trying to think of like big games that I missed. There wasn't a whole ton of them, to be honest, because I ended up playing a few of them that I thought I was going to miss, like Spider-Man, which I wasn't crazy about. I don't understand how that's getting on half of the Game of the Year list it's on, honestly, because it's fine. It's a fun enough game, but wow, Game of the Year? I don't know, man. It wasn't even one of the top 5. Honestly, it probably wasn't a top 10 for me. I don't even think Spider-Man would be anywhere on my list. It was a very kind of straightforward and kind of forgettable time. The more time I get from it, the least I remember or want to go back to it. So, I don't know. That, I mean, if you like it, that's also cool. Like, I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything, or your opinion's wrong, because it's what you like. It's fine. I just didn't really click with it. And maybe because I really clicked with Ghost Runner 2 and played it like right afterwards. I played Spider-Man, where you're running around a city doing web slinging with a wingsuit, and then Ghost Runner, where you're just a cyborg ninja running through a cyberpunk tower and wasteland with a wingsuit and a motorcycle. You know, it's maybe a bit of cyborg bias happening. I'm willing to accept that. And also, I think cyborg ninjas are the coolest combination of two concepts ever. Doesn't get better. And that was before I'm talking like I had that opinion in 1998, everybody. 1998. I lost my leg in 2017. Wrap your head around that one. Like 19 years almost. Like almost exactly. It's pretty wild. And yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is on my list. I think that was an incredible game. It did some really unique and awesome stuff. It combined a few different genres in some really, really cool ways that I was like, yeah, this is great. I bought a copy for Metal Commander for his birthday. I was like, okay. I was like, this game's great. Here, you should play it. I was like, yeah, I want to share this with people. Even though it's on Game Pass, like I was like, I don't know. I want this game to make money so that it's successful. And it was reasonably priced. It was $30. And it's like, you had it on sale through like Humble Bundle or something. It's like 22, and it was a damn good game. Liza P, though, I think is my number one. It's one of the best Souls games. Everybody, it really is. It does a lot of things very well while adding a lot of new things to the table and not fixing what isn't broken. So, yeah. Liza P really climbed up my list. I guess my easy ones are Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, and Baldur's Gate 3. Like, those are my 3 that are probably going to be on a lot of lists. I think my other 3 picks, though, would be Liza P, obviously. What else? Hold on. Liza P. Did I have Ghost Runner 2? What did I actually even pick? Man, now I'm actually forgetting even what came out this year. Oh, yeah, Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6, Hi-Fi Rush, and Liza P. And Street Fighter 6 is the one that I keep forgetting, but every time I remember that it was this year, I'm like, oh yeah, that Street Fighter 6 might be the best fighting game. Like, I think it might be the best Street Fighter game, at least. I really like that it brings back every single mechanic that I loved from Street Fighter 4 that they got rid of in Street Fighter 5. It makes them better, and everything looks and runs amazing. I was like, as a diehard Street Fighter 4 guy, Like that ultimately was my Street Fighter, even though my first one was Street Fighter 2. Like I've been playing Street Fighter since Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2, and before that actually in arcades. My dad went to a conference in Hawaii, and he took me to an arcade in Honolulu, and 2 Hawaiian teenagers taught me how to do a Hadouken. It was a formative moment. I remember it, and I was 8 when it happened. I will always remember what that arcade looked like. It was down a few stairs and really, really long. It was like 2 arcade cabinets like facing each other, essentially, with essentially one person's worth of pathway in the middle. So if there's people playing on the opposing ones, you had to kind of like shift through them. And yeah, it was a different time in the early 90s at an arcade playing Street Fighter 2. But anyway, Street Fighter 4 kind of became the one that I played all through my university years. One of my best friends, Ryan, who was in the army with me and went to high school with me, just like Cool Guy Fonz. But Ryan and I would do this more often, where we would just end the night in one of our basements, and we would play Street Fighter 4 until we decided it was time to pass out, and then we'd pass out. Or he'd go up. One of us would go upstairs if it was our house, and the other one would just pass out in the basement. And, it was fun. We'd always do a random character, and we were never like competitive level players. We just had a good time with it. Street Fighter 6, I think, involves the Street Fighter 4 concept in the most direct way they've done it, because 5 went in some directions I didn't like. And yeah, I want to put more time into it, but off the bat, like I could play 5 rounds of Street Fighter 6 and be like, yeah, this might be the best one. It would have taken me about that long, because I'd be like, yeah, everything feels perfect. You can still do the drive cancels and drive counters and things like that, where they used to be focus attacks in Street Fighter 4, but the system's more complex, and you can vary it in a few different ways, and that leaves a few more ways to counter it. Street Fighter 6 is a sleeper hit. And yes, yeah, you're right. Okay, then there's another game that I'm excited about for this year, Tekken 8. I'll bust out the arcade stick again and play some Tekken 8 when it launches. We will either laugh at or enjoy the story mode, perhaps both, at different times or maybe the same time, depending on how it goes. Light of Peace nominated for RPG? Are you kidding? Oh, get out of here. See, like these. It's an action game, okay? It's not an RPG. Oh god. Calling Souls games and RPGs is so crazy. It's insane to me. Wow, are you serious? Spider-Man 2 is nominated for Game of the Year? Okay. Wow. Okay, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think it's even in my top 10 of the year, to be honest. It's okay. I mean, that's like, I keep saying that, but that's like, it's the truth. It's like, yeah, it's okay. It's fun. It's a fun game where you swing around the city of Spider-Man and do Spider-Man stuff. But it's not great. Like, it's not better than the original one, and the original one came out like, a while ago, and it's made by the same team. So it's like, if the sequel's not even better than the original, how could it be the game of the year? Like that's kind of wild. Whereas I think I can make an argument for Super Mario Bros. Wonder being better than Super Mario World. I think it would be a controversial position to take, but I don't think it would be wrong. I think it would be perfectly reasonable. I mean, like, Peter doesn't get replaced in this one. Like, honestly, Miles doesn't really have that important a role in that game, other than he's got a lot of side content where you're doing the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stuff. I didn't really do that stuff though. I just went through the main stuff. So Miles was like not really even a huge part of the game. You had to play as him a few times, but I know they've said, yeah, Miles is going to be our focus going forward or whatever. I don't know what the statement exactly was, but I know people were pissed, and I personally don't really care, because like, I was like, at this point, I don't really care about the story. I'm just like, well, I guess I'd like to see what happens, I suppose. I'd watch it like I would have watched Arrow. Like, I like the first 2 seasons of Arrow. They're fine, but, I could take them or leave them. Like, they're enjoyable. Like, I mean, Spider-Man 2 was enjoyable. But I don't know. Game of the Year, that's silly. Because then you think, like, what's that leaving off? Nominating Resident Evil 4 and not nominating Dead Space is ridiculous, because Dead Space is the better remake. Resident Evil 4 is really good. It's great. It's awesome. It's a remake of one of the best games ever made. But the Dead Space remake is kind of a better survival horror remake. it's kind of better than the original. Whereas Resident Evil 4, it's a different experience than the original in a lot of ways, even though it is quite faithful and it is quite good. But I don't think you can nominate Resident Evil 4 for Game of the Year and then just not even mention Dead Space. It's like, Dead Space, whatever. That one was fine. It's like, no, that kind of actually took all the concepts and ideas of Dead Space and, you know, it made it so that you could explore all of the Ishimura and had it so that Isaac's got a bit more of a character, and it's the same guy that was in Dead Space 2 that people love kind of right. And yeah, you know, I think there were a lot of things about Dead Space that make it very worth your while. Yeah, Armored Core 6, like nothing, which, I mean, you know, kind of surprising because of Keeley, but I guess, yeah, it's sort of, I don't know if it's like the personalities he likes. Maybe, I mean, I've mentioned this about Kojima before, and Kojima is one of Keeley's celebrity friends, so maybe it's just Miyazaki. At the same time, if you watch Mr. Matty Play's video on it, because he has this really interesting segment where he said, yeah, I've talked to a few people who are like on the Game Awards panel, and I asked them what they do about the categories and nominations. They're like, I don't know, we just like, what games are Game of the Year this year? And then like the first 6 that like come up get it apparently or something like that. It's just, it's not really discussed all that much. It's just like, yeah, that seems like a good list. Go. And I'm like, wow, okay, that kind of makes a lot of sense. Like, don't take these awards seriously, everybody. It's why everyone says, oh, I wonder if this will get Game of the Year. And I would always ask, who's Game of the Year? Like, which one are you talking about? And they'd always be like, well, Game of the Year, the Game Awards. I'm like, do people look at that as like the Game of the Year award? Because there's tons of Game of the Year awards. Every outlet has one. You know? I don't find the Game Awards themselves all that special. The only thing they have is the announcements and world premieres. Half the time they suck now too. So it's like, man, what's even the point? Anyways, Lies of P is the best game that came out this year. But Armored Core 6 is also amazing, as well as Octopath Traveler 2 and RoboCop Rogue City. I feel like there's others that I'm just missing. Like I'm forgetting that they were this year. Oh, Amnesia the Bunker. There you go. I knew it came out a while ago, but it was this year.